Yeah.
Because my buddies and I were heavily into paintball too in high school. Because like it was kind of like the natural trajectory of like I was heavily into like playing Army guns and Army different stuff. Like, and then once it was like right when paintball started coming out, like my buddies and I were like, oh man, it was the best thing ever. Like we went out to my buddy's farm in Wisconsin, my buddy's farm in Amboy, Illinois. We had like a whole paintball field set up. We had a 87 Chevy Astro van that we turned into like a paintball mobile. It had like a turret. It had tires on the front. We had all these different games that incorporated the paintball van in. I mean, and those were some of the greatest memories, that I have.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, I even went out after I was at the team. I went out and played paintball with them. I was on leave, and I brought all my friggin' weapons kit home and stuff because I was an ordnance guy. I just brought my whole box home. I'm sure you can't probably do that now, but I just grabbed it and put it in my truck and drove back to Illinois. And I had my nods in there and all that kind of stuff. And we went out to my buddy's land and played paintball. And I said, hey man, you guys want to have a night game? And they're like, yeah, fine, we'll have a night game. And I took IR chem lights that I already cracked. The IR chem lights are the only ones you can see with nods, night vision. And I gave them to them and I said, hey, put these on your camouflage clothes, and if you get shot, crack it so that everyone knows you're out. And I was like, all right, me versus all you. And they're like, fine. Well, I had already stashed my nods and my helmet out in the woods. And they came out and I was wearing it and they're kind of patrolling around. And obviously I could see them. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. And I'm moving from bush to bush. And it's like Predator. They're like shooting in all directions. Like, where is he? And I'm just moving around and flanking them and all kinds of stuff. And I smoked all of them. Yeah. And then they went around the campfire and they were like screaming, like, we're done playing. And I was like, I should have just came out of the woods like without my nods and been like, hey, you guys don't know that I can they taught us how to see at night, but I came out with them down and then they were like, oh, and all that. So, but it was fun, man. And then obviously we were driving the rest of the night. I was letting them drive on my nods, like around the farm. And then we trashed that van and yeah, I almost died, but.
I love that. Holy crap. Wait, so you get, let me ask this. It's like a very simple question.
Yeah.
Do you think, how much can you actually apply like a lot of the tactical maneuvering or anything like that you learn in the teams in like paintball?
Well, that's a good question actually, because so when you play paintball, you're sneaking, you know what I mean? You're sneaking up on guys. You're being real quiet. Like we went to this one paintball field. It was like an old Western village, and I remember like if you're playing against the other team, you're not like running into a room like clear, like super fast. Like you're creeping along, and like coming up and sneaking around and peeking and trying to see guys and shoot them, and like because you're hunting guys, right? You're just hunting guys out in the paintball field. And I get in the SEAL teams and like our first assault cell block where you're doing room clearance or CQB, close quarter battle, close quarter combat, CQC. I call it close quarter clearance in all my instructional courses, but all the same thing. It was all dynamic, all running, like come up to the door, boom, whether you breach the door, or throw a crash in, like just fast, hair on fire, rapid, like rushing into that room, shooting. It was all live fire, shooting targets. And I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, this is crazy, because it was totally different than what I had done in paintball. It was just a different mindset. And I was like, man, this is SEAL teams. Like, this must be how things go down, overseas. Well, 3-4 years later, after 9/11, into the wars, back to paintball. All the CQC tactics went back to slow, methodical, deliberate movement, sneaking up. The SEAL teams went away from like breaching every door, running in and, with your hair on fire at like Mach 10 and clearing rooms to like, hey, why don't we just sneak in at night and just find some way to sneak in, and team guys are like, shooting dudes in their sleep. And some of the best ops, like I've heard from various team guys and stuff, when these new tactics started to get thought about and like, hey, we needed to change the way we do business, was guys just switching over to just sneaking in and being real quiet. Because think about it. Like you land your helicopter like we used to, like on the X, right? Like you come up and like, boom, that helicopter's right on the target zone. You're running off the helicopter. They know you're there, right? Again, this is not a hostage rescue scenario. It's just capture, kill a bunch of jerks with guns, and you're and then you're running into that structure dynamically, right? Fast in every room. Dude, if they know you're coming and they just harden themselves, like guys are gonna get shot. And so many dudes got ate up in those early years because we were doing that. And guys started, there were certain ops where stuff happened and they're like, hey, like, let's just sneak in at night. And then stuff went a lot better. And they're like, yeah, we need to start to think about how we're doing CQC. And because again, it was all the CQC stuff was all like 90s era, even earlier stuff where nobody was actually going after hardened opposition.
Yeah.
It looks cool. You know what I mean? Like, you know, in the movies, it's all freaking fast.
Yeah.
You know? And it looks cool, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't, if there's someone that's like bed down and they're waiting for you and 4 dudes go running in a room, somebody's taking rounds through that fatal funnel. And so what was called combat clearance, like early on in the wars, just was developed from like guys, just like that hunting mentality, you know, like as a hunter, growing up as a hunter and still hunting now. My parents have 70 acres where I live right now. You know, you're not out in the woods if you're hunting and, you know, like coming around a tree, like wrapping around the tree and then pointing at your prey.
Yeah.
You're like sneaking real quiet.
Tracking.
I mean, you're trying to not even to break friggin', you know, brush or make, you know, noise with leaves. You're sneaking real quiet, getting angles around whatever you're trying to move around to shoot your prey. And it's like the same thing with like overseas doing CQC and assaults. You're hunting humans.
Yeah.
Like, why let them know you're there? Why not? Like, guys are like, hey, why don't we get dropped off by helicopters and hike in to the target, you know, called an offset infill, and sneak in, and they don't even know we're there, you know, until maybe they see a little green glow and they're already getting shot.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah. So, you know, it's that is the mindset that started to, you know, shift, and then eventually it became a whole new form of CQC that was developed by mostly, you know, guys at development group at Team 6 that were the ones in Afghanistan early, started seeing stuff, and they kind of got their best tacticians together at the command and came up with this, what we called combat clearance, you know, and then the white side team started using it on the East Coast, and then it went over to the West Coast, and essentially it was like, hey, this needs to change ASAP if we want to start like not taking heavy hits of our guys.
So was the original application process, was that built for like combat in Vietnam or something like that? Like, or was it just, we had not really had experience with these type of environments, so we weren't necessarily sure?
Mainly that.
Okay.
You know, and you know, it was all, again, like running into rooms with your hair on fire dynamically has application for like a hostage rescue type situation, or like in law enforcement, if there's an active shooter, you're going in. Yeah. But you're willing to risk your life, or, you know, for the benefit of to save somebody. So you're willing to put yourself at risk in that situation. But again, like early on in the teams, it was like, you know, we're high speed, you know, SEALs, like we got to be able to do these hostage rescue, you know, like, you know, ops and stuff. And it just, no one ever thought like, hey, if someone's not being harmed, is there a reason we're just running into the room? Rather than, you know, if there's a door, I mean, there's not a lot of, you know, wood frame doors overseas, but like the space, whatever space you're going to clear, like, why not like move across it real slow, like pie back and forth, like see what you can see in that room. You know, if you start taking rounds through the funnel, like frag it, you know, you got options, you can pull back, you're behind cover and concealment. Cause like once you run in, you're committed. Yeah,
you're going.
And more than likely, if there's hardened opposition in there, you're in a 50-50 gunfight. So you know, it was just like, you know, it took a lot of ops, and unfortunately it took a lot of, you know, paid in blood tactics for guys too. Because the biggest problem, like with any tactical shift, whether it's law enforcement or, you know, the soft community, you know, you get guys that ran that tactic and it's like, that's what we do. You know, and so like the older guys, when this shift started to happen, they're like, that's not aggressive. You know, we need to get in there, you know, dominate, you know, and then they started to see like actually, because none of those older guys had ever been shot at, you know, they were all 90s era guys. And like they started to see the application of it real world and how it worked. And they're like, holy crap, like, yeah, this is something we need to immediately go to if we want to start saving dudes and not putting our operators at risk, like every night.